Thank you. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call this special meeting of the Board of Education to order at 7 p.m. I'd like to invite you all to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Before we jump into our agenda, I just wanted to just thank everyone for their flexibility last week and having to reschedule so last minute. It was a pretty extraordinary situation that the district found itself in with the sewage backed up at the high school. And so I just thank you to all of you for being so flexible with rescheduling, and clearly Dr. Britton's attentions were needed elsewhere. And thank you as well to to Dr. Britton and to Bob and to his staff and to the town water and sewer and public works folks and the Middletown sewer folks who provided some assistance as well. It sounded like that response went about as smoothly as it could have gone, and it was thanks to a lot of hard work by a lot of people. So thank you, all of them. All right, as this is a special meeting, there won't be any changes to the agenda, so we are going to move to the consent agenda directly, and this just includes approval of the September 16th Board of Ed meeting minutes, as well as approval of a building usage application from the studio. So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
No move.
Thanks, Meg. Is there a second?
No second.
Seconded by Kim. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor? Aye. That was unanimous. We'll move to audience of citizens. Do we have anyone with us in person or online who would like to address the board?
Nobody.
Okay. All right. We'll keep moving then. The next item is a financial report from our assistant superintendent for business and financial affairs.
So I don't know if you saw the quarterly report. That's all I have for this time. I don't know if there's any questions you have, if there's any lines you want me to go through. I try to give as much information in the narrative as I can, but not too much. So if there's anything that's stuck out that you have questions on, or any lines you have questions on, I don't know what the best way to go through it is.
Yeah. I think we should probably just jump in with questions if board members have questions, unless there's anything in particular you wanted to highlight first. I think your report is really thorough.
Yeah, but just because I do it every month, I try to just kind of put it all in one lump sum, and that's why I do it by the objects. And combine them like how we see them in the budget.
Yeah.
So that's why I have the salaries lumped into one. I have benefits lumped into one, purchase services. So that's why it's kind of easier to track and see compared to the budget that we did.
Yeah. Can I ask a question about, sorry. Can I ask a question about the salaries, and I know there'll probably be more conversation about this, but so clearly with the lower open choice enrollment, we have fewer open choice students. We are receiving less money from the state, and that's going to result in a deficit in the salaries line. But I just want to make sure I have clarity around how much of that is going to impact our LEA budget versus how much is being absorbed by the new, is it LEAP funding? Is that what it's called from the state, that some of the para positions will be absorbed? Seed, sorry.
Seed.
LEAP is a different acronym.
Yep.
Seed. So will you just talk us through, the seed grant will be used to offset some of this, but our salaries line will still be impacted as well.
So for any new people, so we have open choice students that come here, and the state gives us, if you have 5% of your total population that's considered open choice, then you get $10,000 per student at your 10-1 enrollment. Right now, so we budget 60. We've had anywhere between 70 and 60. 63 has been our lowest in 7 years that I've been here. So we budget with what we know at the time. I look and see if anybody's graduating or you know, vice versa with our kids that go to the correct schools that we have to pay for. I try to, you know, do like the reverse out to see, but I don't know who's gonna
Yeah.
go into it. I don't know who's gonna come out of it. Just other than the people on the list. So as of right now, we're at 48. And because our enrollment dipped also, I'm worried that we're under the 5%. So if we go under the 5%, our threshold, our reimbursement changes to $8,000 per student.
Mhm.
So our deficit can be anywhere between 48, 58, you know, 12 times 10, $120,000 or 8,000 times, I didn't do that calculation, I'm sorry. mm,
So we have 48 right now.
We have 48 right now. So add another 8 times 12.
So 8
I
times.
can't think right now, another 60,000, almost probably close to $200,000, I think, if we get to the 8,000. I emailed the state to see when they would know. Cause you know, when I do it on the calculator, it says 4.999, but
Mhm.
you know, does that count? Do you round up to 5?
Right.
So they said that they won't know until, because they did the another round, and then they said by December, they have to wait for the October 1 enrollment, and then they do a final calculation by December. So I should know by December if we're getting 8 or 10 per student. So, and most of our interventionists are paid out of the open choice funding. So
Okay.
I only accounted as if it's gonna be 120, because I think it'll be okay. I think, I'm hoping.
And I guess the other
Um,
question is the extra money that we get on top of having the 5% or more. Is that also eliminated?
Well, it depends. So we get bonuses. So do we have any kindergarten kids? So we'll get an additional, I believe it's 2,000 for kindergarten, so it'll be 2,000.
$1,000.
And then if you have a certain percentage in one grade level, you get a bonus also, but I don't know how they calculate that. That's like kind of like
That's
a,
like
that's
bonus
like a
money that
yay at
comes
the end of the
later,
year that
yeah.
we get in May, that is like an extra perk to get.
So the real question now is whether it's 8,000 per child or 10,000 per child, and we won't know that for certain until December.
Yes.
But the 120,000 deficit that you're sharing, that you're predicting in the certified salary, is that based on the 8,000 K or,
So-
sorry, 8,000 or on 10,000?
On the 10,000.
It's based on 10,000.
Yeah, so that's
Okay. I
a
see.
difference of 12 students times the 10.
Okay,
So if you take a difference of 12 students, I was trying to, it did come out right, but I have to rethink about that. It's an additional $2,000 times 12, so
Times 12.
another
Okay.
24,000 basically.
okay, so
Yeah.
potentially another 24,000.
Another 24,000. But on the flip side, you know, I'm basing the difference off of who we're paying tuition for also. I know 2 students, so if we have to wait for this report for correct to report what of our students are going there. And they haven't updated it yet, because I asked Holly, I wanted it, hopefully it would be updated by today. It has not been. I do know of 2 students that were special ed that did come back, so I took them off of the tuition piece of it. But I don't know, you know, a couple are pre-K kids that we don't pay for. Another is a K one we don't pay for, but now they'll be in school. So I try to calculate what the tuition will be, because they cap now. They cap
capped it,
at the
yeah.
correct school, so that's good.
Mhm.
But not knowing if other kids are going, I don't know. I'm basing it off of what we had last year.
Okay,
And that's so I think I got it to 114,000, give or take, is what, after I subtracted out the income we're gonna get minus the tuition expense, it leaves us about $114,000 in the hole with what we pay for. And so there's 3 paras in there, that are gonna have to go into LEA. And there's the difference of that I'm putting towards the interventionist piece, because you know, there's been changes in staffing, so the salaries have increased, so that's where a little bit of that fluctuates each year. But to your question with the seed funding, none of those positions, because we can't use current positions to fund seed funding. It has to be new
Mhm.
initiatives. The only one that we can fund, because we also remember had 2 Hartford kids that
Mhm.
moved out that had paras attached to them. So those were the ones that Sarah brought last time.
that are being paras that there's new needs that came into
So we
district.
can use
the
those,
seed
the
funds
seed
for
funding for
positions.
those, because it was a new need that came in after July 1.
Okay.
And then the other half position is with the outlet, with the new grant the mental health grant that Sarah got, is gonna fund the other half of 1 para, and the seed money is gonna fund the other half. So unfortunately, all the seed money is gone at this point.
Gotcha.
But we're grateful that
Assuming
it
it
came.
does.
Okay, well, thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate that.
Stephanie, this may not be a question for you, but I'm just curious, do we have a sense of why open enrollment is down this year, open choice enrollment is down this year?
Yeah, so let's not forget, we only open seats in kindergarten and first grade, right?
Mhm.
That's generally been our practice.
Unless there's a sibling.
Unless there's a sibling, correct. They didn't fill, like kindergarten, I think we have one, right? But first grade, none, right? What I think the solution to this in the future is that instead of declaring seats by grade level, I think the board needs to say to me, Charles, we authorize you to fill up to 5% of our seats with kids. Work with CREC to figure out where they go. Because what happened was there's different rounds, like there's a lottery and there's different rounds, and they start very early in the summer and they continue all the way up to like last week. Like there's like 10 rounds, they keep going. And when you gave me last spring, I came to you and said, I want these 20 seats open, I didn't open, except for the siblings, I didn't open any beyond that. I started hearing in the summer, hey, we have a 5th grader, we have an 8th grader, we have a 9th grader. It will be nice to have more flexibility, not just open seats in a grade level, so that as the rounds progress and as we're seeing who's putting us, because they rank, it's like schools are ranked, we might not be someone's first pick, we might be their 6th pick, but by the 3rd round, we might have moved up to their 2nd pick. It's a very complicated thing that happens that I think going forward, it will be more helpful to say, the board authorizes Charles to fill up to 5% of our seats, no more, with open choice students, and he and the leadership team can figure out which ones to open when throughout the course of the lottery, so that I'm not calling Laurel in the summer and panic going, sometimes you ask for forgiveness, sometimes you ask for permission, I'd rather just have your blessing to do this going forward and then match our seats to the desire, right? As opposed to just limiting to kindergarten and first grade. And I think, I was a little surprised the numbers came in low. I don't have an answer to that. I think we can do a better job marketing, maybe, or maybe this was just a down year. But also we have to remember, it's a very, very little in kindergarten and first grade. And it's a long bus ride to put your kids on, to send them that far away from home. Parents are likely getting more comfortable with that idea 3rd or 4th grade. So if we put all of our eggs in that kindergarten, first grade basket, it might be wiser to just say the 5% and then let me work all the way up to high school as things start to evolve throughout the lottery process. That doesn't help us now, but that might be something to talk about this spring as we plan for the next year. It's a good question. I don't have an answer to that.
Put
we
that
have-
contextual.
Did we do any tabling at any of the events
We
that,
did. Yep.
so is that Joe and Mike, Joe
Yep.
Sansevier?
And now Chuck had gone to them. Joe had done a lot. Now,
I know he had.
yeah, but Chuck's picking that up and it was Meg, but who's it now?
I
Anna
think-
Terry, yeah,
I think,
yeah,
Holly, so also,
Yeah.
Holly.
Right.
Had also been involved.
yeah. And we have some other ideas for some direct mailings we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, some other ways to.
Has the requirement always been, and I know we said, open kindergarten first and then siblings can come after that, but have we always limited our open enrollment for open choice to kindergarten only? And
Not
no,
always.
I didn't think so.
No, we've spread it out a
Yeah.
couple of years.
Yeah.
Especially in the year where we're being incentivized to open more seats to get to more students, right? As they were settling chef finally. But generally speaking, we like to start students as young as possible
Sure.
and then move forward. And that's kind of what we went back to, that philosophy last year. And I think it's time to reconsider that. I think that, again, the board to say 5% of our seats, that's what we're committing to open choice. Charles, you have the flexibility with your leadership team to identify them throughout the course of the multiple rounds that the lottery happens, so that, if a 6th grade becomes available, we pounce on, it, right? It might just, what happens. So it might be we might be more nimble.
Okay, I think that's a good thing. All right.
So, and just to be clear, we're not looking to take action on that tonight. That likely
No.
wouldn't come
Not
up
till.
action until we're needing to open up seats, but I think it is something for all of us to think about. In terms of giving Charles and the administrative team as much flexibility as possible and
Right.
be able to respond.
Yeah, I mean, and we can adjust our number throughout the budget season in terms of what Stephanie puts in as a placeholder.
Yeah.
Right. But more importantly, looking ahead to a potential reimbursement rate, we want to have a solid core of students because we get that 5% bonus. I know we're going to be talking about that, but that's another big, in addition to what we get with the $10,000 per student, that 5%, that gets us up in 75% range potentially with the new way we're calculating things. We really want to, make our commitment clear.
To aim for that
Bonus
5%.
also allows us to use it for intervention services for
Correct.
all the students within that grade of kindergarten or whatever, which was really nice to see. All right. Practice meeting tomorrow. I'll ask if they got final
Yeah,
notes on
Stephanie,
that.
I gotta be able to find it.
I'll ask.
Other questions for Stephanie about her report?
I like transportation, and that's all I'll say about that, with the third minivan.
Yeah, my only question about that actually was that it noted that some of the surplus was offsetting the purchase of the van. I thought the van was purchased with capital funds.
No, that was last year. This year we added it in.
No, last year we added it in. This year it's in capital.
Mhm.
Like 99.9.
I'm at 100.
Sure.
I'm at 100. It's the only thing we got out of capital. So,
Which is
Okay,
only a good
great.
thing. I mean, that's a good thing because if there's, what to me what that means is if there's savings, it's not actually offsetting.
Yeah, I gotta go back and look now.
Okay,
We used some kind of savings to get the van driver and the 0.5 guidance position.
yes, that's right.
Maybe it was just all the other savings from having the van.
yes, that's right.
I still like transportation.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Other questions about anything on here? Nope. All right, Stephanie, thank you so much, as always. We'll move to new business. First item here is a request for 2 FTE paraeducators. And this was discussed at the last personnel meeting, and there was a recommendation to bring request forward.
Right, yeah, and all of the ones on this list, by the way, thank you for getting together tonight. These are time sensitive
Yeah.
ones. We got a lot of work to do and thank you for getting together to consider these, as opposed to putting it off even another week. So, Personnel Committee did meet, heard a request, we have new students right now. These 2 new paraeducator positions are IEP based. They're new students in the district that need this support. They will not add to the deficit. One of the paraeducators will be paid for out of the seed grant, which, we got that $73,000. The other paraeducator will be paid half out of the seed grant and half out of, you heard Sarah talk about, a mental health grant. So these are 2 new positions. As you know, the seed grant, we got clarification on, can't be used to supplant, can only be used to add to the budget to build programming to keep students in-house. That's exactly what these paras would do. Without these paras, we could potentially be looking at outplacement. So if it is right in with the spirit of this 73,000 seed money. So at this point, I'm very comfortable asking you to let us have these 2 new paras. They won't add to any deficit. It will be a combination of seed grant funding and the Owl Nest mental health grant funding. And again, all discussed with Sarah at Personnel.
Questions?
Just adding that in personnel committee, we discussed that the C grant is funded for 2 years. And there's an expectation the state may continue funding beyond that, just as additional information to decide.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see as if it continues to be, we're using the new funding to fund new positions. Will that be a continued requirement that every year can only be used for new
I
things?
wonder the same thing.
I mean, it seems like it'd be a lot more functional for districts if we could use it to fund the things we're already struggling to fund.
Right.
But you can provide that feedback, I'm sure, to the state at a later date.
And the biggest topic right now is how the funding is going to get to us. So there was some confusion as to, is it coming like excess cost? Is it coming like ECS? So as of right now, the understanding is that it's going to come like our ECS grant, which is gonna go to the town. And then we have to figure out, we have to request that funding. And so there's a whole CASBO thing going on about it. So then for next year, we may have, you know, how the town, when they do the budget, the $4.7 million is a part of this may
Yeah.
have to be a part of that. That we're waiting on clarification, but right now it's saying it's supposed to be treated and we're getting the funding like your ECS money, which goes to the town. And so right now, all the regional school districts are saying, well, we don't have, we don't get ECS.
Right.
Right.
So I don't know if they're gonna change that because of the region, but if you look at the list, each town has a certain amount. So whether they give it to the region and then they have to get the supplemental to offset it, that's
Wow,
where
nice.
it's coming, but they just don't know how it's coming.
Okay.
So the seed money will be included with the ECS money and it will go to the town. Is that what you're
Possibly.
saying? Possibly.
That's what is coming out right now is how it's going to be. But I don't know if there's gonna, I mean, we're gonna get the first payment in October, so we'll find out.
Right.
We'll find out if it goes to the same place as ECS does.
Okay. Interesting.
So once, and then, like I said, thinking about budgeting for next year, if we know it's gonna be there, it may have to be treated as part of the overall global
Right.
budget, unless they change something. But I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, no, thank you for that information.
So I have one question. So we talked about open choice, we talked about some lack of funding in that area. Are there other para positions that we're losing that we can't fund through seed? That we have to worry about, or did I misunderstand?
I mean, as of right now, we're going to try with all the savings from the other things. We're trying to keep it, right now, we should be okay. We have a small deficit, but I have facilities to work with. I've got other accounts to work with. I don't want to work, I don't want to touch Bob's funding.
Or
But
supplies.
there's
Okay.
ways to, we would just have to freeze some things.
My
'Cause if they're
hope is that,
needed-
we were able to do a fair amount of pre-ordering at the end of
Right.
the last fiscal year, which was very fortunate because now if we need to freeze some of those lines, at least we will have.
Everybody's got lots of paper.
Everyone's got lots of paper.
It's gonna be the paper freeze.
Yeah.
I just have a question. The mental health grant, it's okay to hire a para that falls under the what the grants.
I think what Sarah explained is that as part of that grant, and they have to hire personnel with a portion of that grant. So it helps. It actually, it works out nicely.
Makes sense to not hire a part-time para, hire a full-time, use them in the 50% capacity.
Sure.
A good question. Other questions about the 2 para positions that are needed? Okay, and is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the addition of 2 FTE para educators as presented tonight.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Sarah. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Mhm.
All right, the next item is a 30-hour floater custodian position. I believe, Kim, you wanted to say something briefly?
I'm just going to recuse myself for personal reasons.
Okay, thanks, Kim. So Kim's gonna step away from the table and will rejoin us for the next agenda item. All right, so Dr. Britton, do you want to talk us through this? We also discussed this at personnel.
Right.
Just as background.
Yeah, so again, this was discussed at personnel and Bob was very helpful and helped us do the math on this, right? So right now, obviously custodians you can use sick time, vacation time, when they do that, other custodians are paid overtime to cover those shifts. We can't not have the buildings being cleaned, if I'm on vacation or need to take a medical leave of absence. But even right now, Bob is running up a tab for overtime. We have money budgeted for overtime expenses. It's at a point where it makes more sense not to spend that money on overtime, but instead hire a 30-hour a week floater custodian and pay that custodian at the hourly rate to cover those shifts that are vacated because of vacation and sick time.
So 30 hours a week gets benefits.
But just remember, we have a 20-hour position already that's open because
Right.
somebody moved. So we already have a 20-hour, but so it's just an additional 10 hours that we need the extra money for. So that's why 30 hours looks like a lot when you think about overtime, but we already have 20 hours budgeted. We couldn't find anybody that wants it for 20 hours and no benefits. So that's why bumping up the 10 hours, I think it's important to say it's
That's
not all
important.
30
Yeah,
hours.
thank you.
It's just 10 plus a benefit package.
So we already have the 20 hours in the budget.
Yes.
And
The
that
person that was
no-
in it
and 20 and
took
under
the
20, there's
position.
no benefits. Okay,
Correct.
and now adding 10, so that will be, what do benefits look like for?
Single,
10,
single is
15
around
hours.
8,000, two-person is around 19,000, family is around 27,000, give or take.
So at least a minimum of about additional $8,000 in that budget.
But
That's
even,
fine.
even with that consideration, Bob kind of laid out for us how it makes sense to budget this, to offset the overtime hours by adding 10 hours to the floater custodian position.
That's what it makes, we're actually gonna start saving money. But right now, the money's budgeted, it's just,
What, do you have a percentage? Like, it'll be 20% less than paying overtime or?
So to put it into perspective, Bob said just for the month of October was how many hours of overtime they would need? There, because of people being out, it was like
Like OT.
120 hours.
140.
140
OT.
times that by time and a half.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, that's a full position right there, just for that. And that's just for 1 month.
yeah, got it. Okay.
I do like the idea of having somebody that can float and fill in, because jobs have to be done.
Need somebody.
and Work won't get done if we don't have people there doing.
Tough to fill. It's,
Yeah.
might be tough to fill, but it's worth looking for.
well, I think we already,
Okay, never
I won't
mind.
get ahead of myself. There may be some reasons people are recusing.
There are candidates out there. How's that?
There are candidates available, yes.
I think what we're discovering, there are candidates at the 30-hour level that didn't exist at the 20-hour
Yeah,
level. So this
that makes
is,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's more
Yeah.
full-time, obviously. All right, thank you.
so all in all, this should be really positive for the district. Other questions? Or anything else that you wanted to add from our conversation, Sarah or Dave? Okay. All right, is there a motion?
Move to approve the 30-hour floater custodian position.
Thank you, Meg. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Dave. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes unanimously, just with the note that.
I know.
That Kim has sustained from this. All right, so we'll move on to the next item, but maybe Kim wants to come rejoin us. There you-
Good timing, I should have mine later.
Now, the next item on the agenda is approval of prior architect contract extension and a Crowda demographic study. So as we've all been discussing around and around, these are the next steps. As we move towards, potentially taking action on the most recent set of recommendations. The next steps are making sure that we have new updated demographic information and an architect to help walk us through the next steps. And so Charles has worked with Fryer and with Peter Prouda to get quotes and proposed contracts. And would you like to talk us through what those look like?
Yeah, so a couple of things. So first of all, again, the reason why we're not waiting till next Tuesday, and I was disappointed that the smell was so bad in this room right now, we could not even have been sitting here. But we need to get going on this, right? That we have a mountain of work to do with planning for if we are going to actualize those recommendations that came out of the strategic planning committee. I mean, it's we have a ton of work to do, right? And I can't do that work. I'm not a licensed architect. I even beginning with coming to you with a conceptual order of magnitude budget, I wouldn't even know where to start. Not to mention all of the other work, like conversations with the Department of Administrative Services, understanding the new and evolving reimbursement rates, development of 3D diagrams, 3D models. Like, if you remember all of the information that was on the website that was shared about what the mega school, the pre-K 5 school would look like and how much it would cost, that was a ton of work, right? So we have to get going if our goal is to do the same with the idea that Valley View would be pre-K 5 alterations, not even renovate to new, Gildersleeve, holy cow, like we have to work on that. And even here for the HVAC system, we have a mountain of work to, right? It's October 15th. You know, I'm even aware that this is late, right? My hope is that we can get Mike Serrano, Fryer, and Bryce back to us. They already know, like they're not starting from ground zero. That's why at $39,000. If we went out to bid for this and it started from scratch, this is a $100,000 endeavor from an architect
These are
firm.
original.
Right,
original.
we were their original bid,
Yeah.
right? This is an extension. So Mike's ready to go. It's just, I got to get him on board, and I think soon we're going to be talking about process, you know, what groups are going to be working on this. So it's not just me, right? Making decisions about what's included in Ed Spec's plan and how that shows up. And in any event, my hope, and I think this is doable, but again, it illustrates the timeline I think we're working under, is that my hope is that we're heading into Thanksgiving break with a really well-developed plan, ready to share with boards of education, boards of selectmen, right? So that December, January, we can start getting as much input as we need and turning that information over to bond counsel and town financial planner and creating all of that information and getting everybody on board with it, of course, so that, you know, no later than January, February, March, we're then pivoting to engaging the community, right? Like if we're going to get all of the information we need to not only get to a bond, not only get to a June 30th grant application, but get to a point where we can share information with David Eisenthal and bond counsel and do all that. And begin an education campaign with the communities, right? This work needs to start now. It can't wait. It can't even wait a couple more weeks, right? It can't wait. Right? So part of the challenge here is that 39,000 for Fryer, that's what he's quoted. And we also have to do another demographic study. We're required to with our new October 1 data. It's $2,100. That's $41,000, right? Now, I've always said to you, I won't ever recommend to you deficit spending, right? I won't do that, right? But we didn't budget for this. Like it's not in our budget right now. When this first came, I did give it to Tom and Mike, and I said, hey, I need this money. Pay for this for us, right? I did get a little pushback saying, no, we can do that, but you know, I need more time. I need to, you know, bundle it and do all of this, you know, maybe after the election. It's kind of what I heard. And I was like, no, absolutely not. If it's any more than a week, I can't wait. I've got to go. So I did meet, and I know Laurel spoke with Mike Pelton, and Mike was like, all right, look, his commitment now is that he would pay for half and the board would pay for half, right? So at this point, the ask is for you to authorize me pending funding availability to enter into this contract with the board picking up 6,000 or 20,600, whatever half of 41 is, right? That amount. The funding source that we would look to is Bob has about $300,000 in his budget right now to get us through the rest of the year, right? We would cut that back to 279,000. And you know, that would be what we would use to pay for. What's my real hope? My real hope is that eventually our friends on the town side pick this up for us, especially, you know, if we're not looking like we're going to be in a surplus this year and are in any kind of budget hot water. But for right now, I don't have time to figure that out. Right. I'm sorry. We've got to get going. Like I really need the Board of Education to say, Charles, pending funding approval, you are authorized to enter into this contract, even if we haven't budgeted for it. We understand that you've identified half out of what's currently available in our facilities, right? I then am going to meet with, I'm hoping Laurel, Mike, Tom, Stephanie, Bob tomorrow morning, nail down this commitment on the other half and sign this contract tomorrow. And literally by Friday, I'm going to have Mike Serrano in my office talking about what we need to do to get moving, right? Because I mean, I'm gonna go. It's time. Like,
Yeah.
I've got to get Mike working.
There's so much work to be done.
And I've got to get Peter going because he needs 6 to 8 weeks to get the demographic study. And we all know how important that is because that's what Mike uses to figure out how many square feet we can build. Right. So it's October 15th. I can't wait even until November. You know, I can't. It's just, we got to go. If I'm sort of like cutting the line in a lot of ways here, but I don't, it's so much work that
It has to start now. It absolutely has to start now.
So there's a couple of things, and I agree, we can't wait until December. I would like us to consider Crowder's proposal separately from Mike Serrano's, only because I have a couple of questions about Peter's. He said he's gonna use a phase out of 4-year-old enrollment in kindergarten by 2027. Since we asked for waivers for anybody that is 4 after September, that would be eliminated from a kindergarten enrollment. Is it necessary to wait or to have him use a phase out on that? That's on the last line just before the proposal does not include a presentation. Because we're not suffering from too many kids that are showing up that are not able to come to school because of their December or October. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I gotta be honest, I haven't put a lot of thought into that
Okay.
yet, but
Because I did, but I just wondered.
but what comes to mind is that, how do I say it? One other important consideration that, Kim, thank you, that we also should be looking at is with the incentive, this fund,
150 million.
right, that the state has, that we could use to fund seats in preschool, right? I think part of this projection, I hope, would be Peter Prouda telling us how many pre-K students we
That's
could
the other
anticipate.
thing that I didn't really, well,
Right.
he does say pre-K in the
Mhm.
item A.
Right, so
but it
how
doesn't
that,
define.
how that affects what you're talking about with kindergarten, I'm not sure, because it would, if you're figuring out how many pre-K kids you have, I guess you could just move that forward.
So on this agreement, we could, but on this agreement, can we just add, and any other, based on, legislation or mandates or whatever, that might be coming forth, can he include any other analysis? Is there a way to word it so that we can include additional analysis as needed? If we pose the question about the early childhood, fund foundation that's been established.
I'm sure we could, I just don't know how that would affect the price.
Okay. All right.
I think the fact that it says pre-K in here already covers us.
It does.
We want data on pre-K. That's in there.
Yeah, it is. No, I
Um,
understand that.
Your point about the phase
I
phase
just about
out
the phase
versus,
out.
but the way it's worded here, it allows for either a phase out or not. So I think that Charles should be able to specify how we want that kindergarten data dealt with.
And I also think that we should probably pay him to do a presentation like we had in the past, so I would add $100. On top of his $2,100, I'd like to add $400 to his ability to come and do a presentation if need be.
I think, yeah, I don't know that we have to authorize that up front. I think we can see if we,
All right,
yeah,
I didn't know if
Yeah.
I wanted to include that or.
yeah,
or
but I
authorize
think
it
you're right. If
now.
we need it, we should get it, but,
Because
yeah.
I think the last time there was a question about Brainerd Place being included.
Right.
So that was the question that I directed to Charles about this is, what guarantee do we have that Peter Prouda will not only look at the data available for leases at Brainerd Place, and Charles reminded me that we should, with Power School now, be able to go right into Power School and based on people's addresses,
got the number.
determine, do we have students who reside in Brainerd Place?
2.
We have 2. We have 2 students who reside in Brainerd Place. That's good to know.
Yeah, so and then we could, extend out from that.
Right.
You know,
What will that look like?
will that
on the
look like?
remainder? So the rest of my question to Charles was, some of what we hear is, okay, but it's not just about the apartment units. It's also about how many people from town are selling their small homes and moving into
Senior,
the apartment facility and making their homes available to therefore go on the market and maybe attract more families. So my question to Charles was, how do we direct that question to Peter, and where can he look at other communities for evidence of that? Does he look within our own community at home sale, rates of home sales? I believe he takes some of that into consideration already. So I just wanted to make sure that as you're signing that contract, that we are really making it crystal clear to him that that's the piece of this that we are most interested in right now.
Yeah, and he should be talking to Dan Beret. The plan of conservation and development is being written for March of 2026. So there may be additional information and demographics that he might be able to use on how many actual pieces of land could actually be built right now, because we don't have a lot of buildable land, period. All right, so that's, yeah.
Does that sort of get to
It
the heart of
does.
your
Yeah,
question,
it does.
though?
It does, because I thought about the same.
Yeah.
On the same page with that. So
Were
can we
there-
consider those two separately though to vote on?
That's
them?
fine, absolutely. Are there other questions? I mean, since we're talking about Peter Prouda's contract first, why don't, or we jumped into that one. Are there other questions about this document in particular?
I guess nitty gritty from the pre-K lens, I'm curious with the change of the kindergarten enrollment age. And I've said it before, pre-K is now really 3 graduating classes.
Yeah.
From that special education lens, can he look at birth to 3 enrollment numbers
Good point.
and what that projection might look like in terms of the special needs student population?
Yes.
Yeah, that's critical.
Yeah, good point.
I don't know if we could, it's interesting. I think what you're really saying there is, could we get not just a pre-K, but a birth to 3?
A look at historically, again, 'cause,
Yeah.
you know, keeping records of how many kids have enrolled, because I know he's looking at, you know, birth
Mm.
dates and birth cohorts and looking at even just the enrollment, how many children in a birth cohort ended up in that special education program and what would projections look like in the future based on birth cohorts.
That's important.
Hmm.
Good point.
Yeah.
I was thinking
I
earlier.
mentioned it would have to be some kind of regression analysis. Unless you're looking at how many people are using dating apps or something. Can you really? Like, how would you really get that? But
Or blackout or bad storms, no power.
Percentages.
Yeah.
you know.
Weather patterns. It's
Oh,
really,
That's fine.
you couldn't dig forever.
Other questions, thoughts, comments?
that'd be regression.
On the enrollment or the overall?
Oh, either way.
Kind of mixes it and kind of doesn't. I agree with this 100%. I think you're on the right track. We did this the last time, though. The second part, the part B, the information sharing,
Yeah.
where we didn't do a good job, and I want to know what's our plan, how we're gonna do it differently. And I think we're gonna actually have to budget some money there too. Because there's gonna be maybe a mailing or maybe a website or something, or maybe the high school kids in the IT department helping us. I don't know, but somehow the information's gotta be done differently.
Dave, I totally agree. I mean, I think that the first step has to be is generate the content. Right. And that's why I got to push hard on this and say, hopefully we're eating turkey and watching football with a good chunk of the data done. Right. So because we have to then take I agree with you. That was really complicated information we were trying to package, and we did not do a good job. It was, I look at it, it's too wordy. It's too,
It was a thesis.
it really was.
It was.
It was
It
a
was.
doctoral
It was. It
thesis.
was
It
a
wasn't,
doctoral.
it wasn't marketed well, right? But yeah, we have to do the thesis first, and then, I'm looking for help. Like I'm not a marketer. I didn't, and I really would need help from somebody to come in and say,
There are people who want
Here's-
three bullet points, and there are people that will read a thesis and look through the whole
Right.
web page and.
Yeah, well,
ask
first thing, I think
questions.
if you haven't already talked to some of the other school districts that have gone through this,
right,
what do they do to make it successful? And then number 2 is unless we can find somebody to volunteer, I think we need to allocate some money to get somebody professional in here to tell us, hey, how are we gonna make this? How are we gonna communicate this effectively?
agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, some communities will provide, because they do have PR people and marketing people that will come forward and volunteer for some kind of a position, something that's created. It could be an ad hoc committee. It can't be an ad hoc committee of the Board of Education because we have to be silent after a certain point. But I think we can look in the community, but if not, then I think we do have to pay somebody. We could talk to Lisa Steinle about PR firms or communication firms that might be able to help us out.
And I think-
Get a brief idea about what we're looking
Yeah,
at.
what's
cost-wise.
available.
Yeah.
And I think Dave's point is really well made, that the first stop probably is talking to Weathersfield, talking to Cromwell, talking to is it
South
Durham,
Durham,
South Windsor,
yeah.
and trying to see, you know,
Yeah.
what worked best for them in terms of their communications plan.
And I was, building the ground, I think it made this point, is here, we're talking about May referendum.
Mhm.
And you look at, you start backing up the timeline, you know, and this November and January, February are gonna be it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So December's not much is gonna happen, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be January, February, where we gotta probably make this hit the ground running and go.
Yeah. Yes, that's hence the reason I'm saying that. Like,
No, no,
I
think
need
you
to
do-
work.
In parallel, we need to start planning
Yeah.
for how's that gonna
Yeah.
work.
Good point.
It's backing up the timeline, it really starts to open your eyes, right? So,
Which is why we really have to allocate.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we have to give you the green light to get moving with the people who can support the work.
So just going back to Peter Crowder, with any of the things that I was gonna add or change or whatever, I think we're okay, but do we want to add birth to 3 data?
I put that on.
You did, okay, so the motion to approve the Crowder demographic study is made to the full board with the addition of the birth to 3 data.
You're making the motion?
Yep, that's
Okay. Is there a second?
kind of a pass.
Seconded by Karen. Any further discussion about the Peter Crowder proposal? A lot of these. I did it
Good
backwards.
alliteration, right?
Product coming out of my mouth. Sorry. Any other questions? Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
I,
Aye, the motion passes unanimously. And then are there any questions, thoughts, comments, about the
Sorry. just woke up now.
about the potential contract with or contract extension, I should say, with Fryer?
My hope would be that the town is able to cover the full cost. I think we will authorize your spending this, because of the timing of it all. And yet it would be unfortunate if we got to the situation where we are in a deficit and it's because we needed to.
And then we have to
expend these funds. So I do hope, for those listening, John, that, the town would be willing to do that.
Does the motion have to include the,
No.
The only
the
thing
payment.
that I know Tricia sent some motions to, the only thing, conversations with Tom today, we should just modify to say pending identification of the funding.
Yep.
Because, Tom is worried. He definitely doesn't want me to sign any contracts until we know where the money is coming from, and we know where half of it's coming from now, but.
Yep.
Yeah,
I hear you, Sarah, and I completely agree. And I do feel good about meeting halfway. If we can do that. If we can make that work with fair confidence that it's not going to get us into too much trouble. And if the town is willing to meet us halfway, I think in some ways it's kind of a nice symbolism that we really truly are all in this together. These are town facilities that the Board of Education runs, and they belong to our community, and we all have an obligation to see this through. So.
There's really no way to move forward without doing all this work.
Correct.
So we just have to figure out the funding.
Correct.
And is that what your meeting is about tomorrow?
yep.
Okay.
So there's 2 things on this contract that I've asked to meet with Tom and Mike about. Second one, we'll talk about in executive session.
Okay.
okay, so I'll move to approve the prior architect contract extension pending the finalization of funding.
Great. Is there a second? This is good. Seconded by Kim. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you all for that conversation and for, recognizing the need to act. All right, we'll keep it moving. The next item is the 2025 Cave Board Recognition Award. As you all know, we put in our application for this leadership award last year and the year before, and our board was recognized specifically for our good leadership in partnership with our superintendent and our administration. And it's a nice thing to do. And it gives us, I think one of the nicest things for me going through this is that I think it's a little bit aspirational too, that I can look at the things that we're not quite there yet and think, okay, how can we work towards this in coming years? What can we do to be the best board we can be? So I kind of appreciated that process of working through this. But and you'll remember, we talked about this during our board self-evaluation and included this as an item that we'd like to keep working on in our self-evaluation process. So that it's completed. The application was due last week, and Cabe was before our meeting, and Cabe was kind enough to let us submit the application, and then knowing that we would submit our board approval minutes after the fact. So if there's any discussion, happy for it. Otherwise, someone can make a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the CABE board recognition award to form that we submitted 25-26.
Thanks, Meg. Is there a second?
Second,
Seconded by Kim. Any discussion?
I want to say thank you for working on this, and I realized that I failed you in getting information about what webinars I attended, so.
Do you know, it's okay. I think it came at a busy moment and there was no worries at all. We had enough other things that I think I ended up skipping that question anyways, but for next year, track your professional development and we can throw that in one of the questions. But thanks.
I think, and the work that goes into it, thank you for doing it as well. And it is a good review of where we've been, where we hope to go. And hopefully everybody can come to the convention and stand up with us and get their picture taken and with the Commissioner of Education. So come on down when we get it.
Second picture.
Yeah, the second picture, that's right.
Any other discussion? Nope. All right, motion was made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I believe that passed unanimously. All right, the next item is our Portland Public Schools and MNJ Bus Transportation Tentative Agreement, and that's going to be discussed in executive session. So we'll hold up on that. And the next item is our executive session for the purpose of discussing that transportation tentative agreement. So I would need a motion to enter executive session and to invite Dr. Britton to join us, and Stephanie as well, please.
So moved to invite Stephanie and Dr. Britton.
Thank you, Meg. Is there a second? Seconded by Sarah. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, we will move into executive session.
7:53.
Yeah, thanks.
Are we-